Yo, what's up, it's King Steph, and I'm here with the Chainsaw Man. I'm just going to put all three of the recent chapters together and pretty much sum up the entirety of this Yuko versus Yoru and Asa situation. Because all of this was actually pretty crazy, and it kind of, at the climax of this, leaves a lot of questions, which, hey, I'd rather have questions this early in the series instead of just a whole bunch of answers. So, let's go ahead and get right into it. Picking up from the crazy and intense chapter 105 of Yuko vowing to take care of Asa's bullying problem and telling her not to come to school, Asa is still just perplexed at what Yuko revealed to her. From the school threat to her making a contract with the future devil, she's so shocked to think that someone like Yuko would do this that when she asks Yoru what could she mean by not coming to school, she already knew the answer, she just didn't want to believe it. And Yoru is just blunt. She tells her she's gonna go off your classmates that bullied you. It's that simple. And Asa thinks she can talk Yuko out of it. But Yoru already took Asa's body and is under her control because she wants to take advantage of Yuko right now and turn her into a weapon. The Justice Devil as a weapon would be extremely useful in taking down someone really strong, especially like Denji, who's just like outright raw power. And if you could predict any of his movements or any of his plans, man, you want to talk about a huge assist. She definitely wants Yuko. Now, Yoru is pretty cerebral as she can use Yuko to lure out Denji and at the least off Yuko and join the Devil Hunter Club. Plus, she doesn't want any human to know she exists because then Asa in turn will be a target, making it hard for her to turn people into weapons. Now, before Yuko goes to the school, we got panels of her standing over a campfire promising to take care of Asa's bullying. And the shade that's over her face, making it like a haunting scene, and how Yoru's just far gone for her justice, I really enjoy. Because then it kind of puts Yuko in that antagonistic role or figure for this current arc that we're in. Now, Yuko and Yoru, they come face to face in the hallway. While they're talking, I gotta point out how Fujimoto wrote the speech bubble like behind the windows of the school as Yuko is talking. That was really cool as hell. I think Fujimoto is really innovative for like just the little stuff like that, like how he's using a speech bubble. In that instance, I really enjoyed that. She tells Yoru that Chainsaw Man doesn't stop bullying and she needs to move aside and we can fight later. Yoru obviously challenges Yuko on her plans of killing the bullies and then running away afterwards. But Yuko was getting agitated because Yoru was simply not gonna walk away. She wants to fight her. Yuko hates Yoru because of what she's doing to Asa and her being able to control her body. And then she transforms into her Justice Devil form and the battle starts. And I gotta say, I like the design of her Justice Devil here. It looks like something, it really just looks like something out of Dark Souls. And maybe it's just me, but the way like Yuko's tendrils or tentacles or whatever, the legs are all bunched together. It almost looks like it's a dress or something. I think it's a really cool design for her. Now, the paneling in this fight to start was pretty dope. Yoru was thrown out the window into another classroom, and that set off the students because now they see a devil. They sound the alarm, and the panel of Yoru sliding across the hallways and coming from like the end hallway, and all she says is, "This is not a drill." That let us know it's about to get really bloody. Like that was one of those chilling moments that like whenever this gets animated, if you put the right OST behind it, it's gonna be one of those like gasping moments. And also while doing this, Yuko's trying to pick out who did the bullying. She's kind of just looking at who she can recognize as to who was with Asa during that time. Meanwhile, Yoru throws a pencil that she turned into a weapon at Yoru. It's like basically it turns into a pitchfork. She catches it and throws it at a student, killing her. Then Yuko kills another student by like backfisting her, crushing her skull up against the wall. Really brutal. But then the Devil Hunter Club pulls up and they actually do a reasonably good job at damaging her. They had a little game plan put together. They even chop off some of her tentacle limbs until all three of them get skewered and one even gets thrown out of a window. It really brutal. I'm not gonna lie, even though they did get they pretty much got often killed, I gotta say the Devil Hunter Club actually showed that they have something they were capable of, although I don't know how much is left of the club after that. But since she is the Justice Devil, she knows all of Yoru's plans in her head, from turning a whole classroom into a weapon to turning Yuko's legs into a weapon. There's only one plan left for Yoru to use. Good old power of friendship, which is to let Asa out and break Yuko emotionally. Asa is out, and Yuko definitely does not want to fight her. I'm glad that something like this is happening, even though not glad in the sense of like this is like really funny to me, but in terms of like how Fujimoto is using the Yoru and Asa, like I guess I hate using inner demon, but the inner person or inner person that's just residing in you and using that and kind of using it more so psychologically than anything, because since she can't harm or put Asa in a lot of terrible positions, she's basically using Asa's friends or anybody she meets and using that to her advantage. And I like that, because then Yoru is still going to be that inner antagonist, but it's going to be really interesting seeing like what all Yoru has planned just to get Denji and turn him into a weapon or just kill him, I suppose. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all like comes together. Also, this is pretty sad, and just how Yuko is kind of just taking everything in, and she sees what's going on with her dear friend, and she wants to do all of this heinous stuff just to make her happy. I know we all have people out there that will just do crazy things to make sure they're all right, but stuff like this is always like, it's sad to see. Now, Asa sees the bodies that's laid out and bloodied, yelling, "You kill a bunch of people." And Yuko in this situation is masquerading what she's doing as justice, even saying the gun devil killed millions and I only took out a couple bad people. And this is how a lot of people who do things like this feel. You see a lot of it in fiction, and at the end of the day, killing is killing. We all understand Yuko and what she's going through, but solving murder with murder just leads to even more carnage. Now, shockingly, Asa demands Yoru to tell her how to make weapons. And this is actually where we get an explanation on how this whole thing works. You simply need to touch something that belongs to you and call out its name. Really simple. Now, the weapon Asa creates is from her school uniform that was given to her by her mother before she died. And she calls a super strong uniform sword. Now, this gave me heavy Kill la Kill vibes. And that's probably because I just finished the anime like a couple weeks ago. And this reminds me of like Ryuko and how she uses her scissor blade. It just gave me little flashbacks of that. Plus, shout out to Studio Trigger. They killed that show. And also, Cyberpunk Edge Runners is fire. But back to the chapter. Asa has her sword in hand, and she proclaims she can solve her own bullying problems, and you need to stay out of this. Don't make me slice you up to stop you. Now, Yuko is still on her justice tip. If she kills the bullies in a notorious devil fashion, bullies across the nation would get scared and it could stop the problem altogether. She could be a symbol of justice like Chainsawman, and this method of using fear as a weapon, in this case as a hero per se, it has been in comics a lot. It reminds me of like a Punisher or certain Batman's, the theme of using fear is still within Chainsawman, and this time it's in a way of saving the world. Yoru steps in and asks Yuko a question regarding her devil form, and that is, what did you give the devil in exchange for those powers? Apparently there was no in exchange, and in her words, she received a heart that shines with the light of justice. Asa and Yuko charge at each other. Yuko parries the sword and flings it away, but she thought it was over. All of a sudden, her whole body is just cut up in pieces all over the hallway and screaming in pain. This spread right here was actually pretty dope, because even though Viz kind of messed up on the mobile because it looked weird, but this spread of she not knowing what happened to her, man, that was crazy. I don't know what's up with that sword and how it just all of a sudden cut her up, but we'll probably figure out later as the story progresses, because even Yoru was surprised at how strong it was, because she hasn't made any weapon that could do something like that. A new character peeks around the corner, and she asks Asa if she wants her to save Yuko. Asa agrees, of course, and the new girl says, "Anything for my little sister," and she has the same circular hypnotic eyes as Makima and Yoru, and she has to be referencing to Yoru as her little sister, and she has to be one of the four horsemen. At this point, you might as well call them the four horsewomen, because I guess the next one is the next death or hunger, whichever one this is, has to be all women. That's what it's looking like. And while outside the school, because of the devil attack, all of a sudden a giant Yuko bursts through the school building, and that's just how the chapter ends. I went ahead and just did all these chapters together because it was just way easier to make a kind of more longer video, because honestly the way I recap and just review these, a lot of the times they're very short, especially with these recent Chainsaw Man chapters, because it just wasn't much to really go over for me. So it was just gonna be easier for me to just bunch them all together. Now in regards to everything that just happened with this fight, I thought it was pretty cool. Honestly, the parts that interest me the most was obviously anything regarding Asa and Yoru, pretty much, because Yuko, we kind of knew what was going on with the Future Devil and her whole ideology of justice right now. Did slice up Yuko. It did flash to Bucky, and one thing that she said is that she didn't mean to do either of these things. So that's also like another mental like toll on her. Like, how many times is Asa gonna do something she didn't mean to do and things just go bad? Almost like a sense of guilt is what she's building, and it's really building to, I don't know about an Asa downfall, but more so of like, she can go either two ways, and she can either snap and kind of not become evil, but she could become chaotic, kind of like how the War Devil will be like almost taking over her mind just because of all the events that have transpired. So that's really interesting to see how far Asa's mental is going to take when it comes to all these things that are just happening, and they could be because of her fault. And of course, you know, this new character has to be the one of the four horsemen. I'm really interested to see which one this is. Is it death or hunger? I would imagine this is hunger, considering, I don't know, I feel like Fujimoto would kind of want to save the death one for last. But the fact that the hunger said, or this devil said that, do you want me to rescue Yuko? This almost makes me think it is the death one, because I don't see in a way how hunger can save someone's life. Or is she going to take over Yuko's body? Like, I don't know exactly what she means by that and how everything transpired, because with a giant Yuko coming out of the building, it almost makes me think she did bring Yuko back to life, but there was some repercussions to her doing that. So if I had to bank on all of the situations that have happened with the little things that we got from this new character, I'm going to say this is probably death, but I wouldn't be shocked if this was hunger. Let me know how you feel about everything that's transpired within these last two chapters in the comment section down below. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.